Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick. Big show today. We've got earnings. We've got vaccine news. We've got CEO interviews. A lot to get to on the show. Two guests today. Nic Chahine from Create Income with Option Spreads will join us at 8:35. And then at 9, we'll be joined by Mark Russell, who is the president and CEO of Nikola Motors. So a lot to get to on the show. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We appreciate any and all likes as always. Let's throw it to Joel now. Joel, update us on this overnight session here. What is going on?
Good morning, Spencer. Good morning, traders around the world. We're in the red here. We didn't start out that way, but we are now in the red. We had a nice rally overnight, and we got to 46.75, and then we turned around on a dime here. We went down to 15 even, still down 12 handles. Maybe they weren't as thrilled with the stimulus package that GOP came out. Didn't see any major virus news, but whatever. We're down 12 handles here. Mid-range on the session is right near the close. So my key for today is getting back over 32.25. That's your close. That's also mid-range. That's 12 handles away. Crude is trading down 14 cents here at 41.46. Just hanging out still in the 40 handle. Showed a little bit of a breakout a few days ago, but running into trouble at 42 and change. The wild childs in the markets today. Gold down 920, but that's not the story. It was up. It tried to kiss 2000, got to 1974.70, and vavoom, went down to 1900.20. So a little bit of a leak there in the gold market. You can see this on the chart. Sellers came in a big way. Also silver. Wow, $4 range in silver here. 26, 27.5. Then you nosedive to 22.46, trying to climb its way back. And Bitcoin, don't look now. We hit 11,540 in the futures overnight, pulling back to 11,095 in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin green today. Let's bring in Triple D. Triple D, I did take the recommendation, and someone said they wanted the 15-minute chart here, the 30-minute chart here, the daily chart here, and then I left the monthly down here. So Twitter suggestion, we'll keep doing it till we get it right.
Keep taking suggestions. We'll keep trying until everybody is happy. Our whole goal is to make every single viewer happy.
Oh,
it's going to be a tough goal.
It's a tough crowd. To
get every single person, but we're going to try. So thank you for the suggestions. I think it was a good suggestion. I went along with it as well. So moving the charts around, we're trying to keep it as simple as we can. If it needs to go back to 1, but a lot of people like the 4. So we're kind of mixed. Some people like the 1 chart. Some people like the 4 chart. So we're going with the 4 for a little while.
I got some tricks up my sleeve. Thanks to one of our listeners, Gary.
You got to draw those lines, purple crayon.
Yeah,
or just circle some stuff.
I know.
When you're talking, get those
that.
lines going, Joel. We're gonna get.
I know, but then you got to do
yet.
that, and then you got to erase, and then you got to remove drawing objects, and
you can do it.
You guys pay me for my knowledge, not for my drawing skills.
No, we pay you for your drawing skills as well. You're the one that did okay in art. Remember, I failed art.
No, we both did bad.
Oh, we both failed art. Spencer, take over the charts. He didn't fail art. Me and Joel both failed art, and you're trying to get us to draw the lines. I can't draw 2 straight lines.
Not only did we won't go into the whole story, but I never gave, how you used to give your teachers gifts and stuff, at Christmas time. I didn't like Mrs. Kemming so much. I left it in my locker the whole year, and then I threw it out at the end of the year.
Oh, really? So your mother gave you a gift to give to your teacher, and you refused to give it to her?
Yes.
You're bad. How'd you get through school? How'd they let you through?
With A's.
You must have cheated.
No, it's easy.
All right, with a bad tangent
go.
Here.
People are getting impatient. Let's talk stocks.
I mean, okay, first of all, vaccine news, good positive vaccine news. But hey, wait a minute. This market is starting to become numb to the vaccine news. So give us the news last night from Pfizer and what's the little company BNTX?
The news last night. So Pfizer had earnings this morning, but
Yeah,
last
forget the
night,
Pfizer. We're talking the vaccine news from last night. We
right,
can go to the
right,
Pfizer
right,
news this morning too.
right. Last night, Pfizer and BioNTech announced that their leading COVID vaccine candidate had commenced they basically gone the next step in the process. They're on to the next trial. They're on the phase 2/3 global study now. So they're on the next step. That's
positive vaccine news. Market was actually closed. The E-mini was closed, but you were starting to see a lift in some of the individual stocks on that. But then the list started to fade, and I thought, well, is Boeing going to lift? Is some of the airlines going to lift? And I was like, I tried to play it a little bit. I was like, nah, they're not liking it as much. So change of script here. Now you're starting to see some positive vaccine news, and you're not getting a 300-point Dow rally off of it. So that's somewhat concerning because that has been the driver for the last month. Every time we get a positive vaccine headline, the market rips higher. So if they're going to change the script on you, that's concerning for the bull thesis to a certain extent. We are down here this morning, and there's obviously lots of other catalysts to talk about, but you'd think, other things being equal, if the vaccine news is out there, I would have thought it would have at least lifted on the headline, and we really didn't lift. Now, the E-minis, again, were closed that time, but the stocks weren't lifting either. SPY doesn't close at that time, and it really wasn't lifting either. And a lot of the reopening plays, like, the airlines tried a little bit, tried to catch a couple cent bid here in American Airlines, but they really didn't lift either. And now the reopening plays, again, down again. It's like nothing can lift these stocks. If you look, American Airlines just been sitting here, cannot do anything. It's been trying to go higher. Some people are going to say it's forming a base. It certainly is. But the longer it sits down here, the more I think it's going to be a base that resolves itself to the downside. Very concerned about the pricing action, and now airlines being kind of numb to vaccine headlines as well. I think the market's starting to realize that, hey, this vaccine news might not come fast enough for some of these companies.
Maybe the market's thinking that like airlines and travel and cruise and restaurants are not going to be part of the new economy moving forward.
Well, it's very possible, or they're going to be a less part of it.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with that. I mean, for at least a while, it's going to be a long time before we get back to normal. So you look at these stocks and you think they're cheap. And yeah, if we get a vaccine that actually works tomorrow, these stocks probably get a lift. But it's just very concerning that now they seem numb to the vaccine news as well. So what's the headline that's going to drive them higher? Like it was always, oh yeah, vaccine, buy all the reopening plays, stocks.
Dennis,
and that's not happening.
I think there are degrees though of vaccine,
for sure,
quote unquote vaccine news. This news yesterday.
Okay, give us the degrees.
This was like, well, so the news last night is like a formality. Like, hey, we've commenced this study. If they say in a month or two, whenever the study ends, that it was really encouraging and the data was great, that's a different kind of headline than, hey, we started a trial.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
I'll give you that. The only thing I will say is Pfizer lifted about 4% on that headline. So the individual stock and also BNTX, if you bring up these after hours charts, Joel, BNTX rallied about 8% right on that headline. So the individual stocks responded well to that headline where the market overall didn't. So if you would have thought it was a nothing burger, you would have probably said that Pfizer wouldn't have a 4% pop in the next 20 minutes off that headline. And BNTX, you can look at it last night, Joel, and you better tell us the charts again because I'm trying to figure out which one's which.
15-minute upper left-hand corner. Upper left-hand corner. Okay. Your 15-minute incorporating the pre-market and after-hours action. 30-minute right below, illustrating the same thing. To upper right. That's your daily. That's very important. And your bottom right is your monthly. But I have some things to make it in the works. Just give me a day or two. This is an improvement. But yeah, 15-minute intraday chart. Boom, right there. 30-minute, kind of the same thing. Daily on the right, monthly on the left.
Gonna give you guys a tip here right now. So I just brought it up and it was blurry for me as well. Go into the bottom right-hand corner of your YouTube screen, hit that little widget button, the little gear. There you will see quality. Mine was on auto, not good enough. You want to hit it to 720p. Go 720p, and the charts will now be so crisp that they almost feel like you're part of them.
That explains why mine are not blurry, because I've had that setting.
Yeah, so make sure if it's set to auto, it was looking blurry to me. Oh, actually, auto, I guess, works. It was 144p at certain months. Go to 720p. Set to 720p. We'll clean those charts right up for you.
And which one was that? The settings?
If you go into, if you're on your YouTube, everybody's watching this on YouTube. Go into your settings, the little widget in the bottom corner, quality.
Yeah.
And hit 720p. Make sure you're set to 720p.
Dennis, you
look at this troubleshooting. Look, I do tech support
you're not only a great trader, a
I
great
do tech
friend,
support as too.
Tech
Dude,
support.
Yeah.
They need to. You know what? Maybe you could go help Bert. You can go help Bert out and do some stuff.
I don't think I can handle what Bert's doing over there. So the Benzinga Pro is a little more than a YouTube. So okay, moving on here. So, oh yeah, Pfizer had earnings as well, so we might as well talk Pfizer. So they had the positive vaccine headline. That drove it higher. It leaked a little bit of those gains, but then it reported earnings here this morning, and it's getting driven up here once again. I'm long Pfizer in the long-term portfolio. How'd they do?
They beat on their EPS and their sales, 78 cents versus 66 cents on the EPS, 11.8 versus 11.55 billion on the sales. They also raised the midpoint of their sales guidance for the year. And they raised their adjusted EPS guidance also. So the guidance raise and earnings beat for Pfizer, but I'm not entirely sure how much that matters compared to vaccine news.
It gets up anywhere near $39 is all kinds of overhead supply. So talking against my book I have in the long-term portfolio, if I had it on for a trade, I'd be ringing the register, I think, because you get so much overhead supply between 39 and 40. Gets above 40, then it would be in breakout, but until it gets above 40, I think the bears actually are a little bit more control here. I'd be selling the pop.
This is kind of an interesting chart, though, for a pre-market chart. It had the blast, and it's holding it. You see that?
Well, it was holding the blast to a certain extent because of the vaccine news last night, too, right?
Okay.
So you had two separate headlines. You had to come out there at 5 o'clock with the vaccine news, and that's what made us go higher. Now you have an earnings report, and it was almost numb to its earnings report because it was already up for the vaccine. So as long as the earnings report wasn't a disaster, it wanted to be higher price last night for that vaccine news.
Okay, Dennis is mentioning 39, and then you could see that someone got a little excited, Dennis, when they took it up to 39.50. No. I'm sure you did not have an offer out there when it traded over 39.49. I was
long at going in. I sold into the pop. I had it on for, I have the long-term invest, but I had it on for a trade too as well, because sometimes I buy these things ahead of the reports, but then popped up and I was like, wow, I'm not going to take it through the report.
39, yeah, that's your super extra major resistance, 39.50. 39.42 is your 3-day high. Let's see how far they can push it. It looks like it's, as of right now, it looks like they're going to hold these gains going into the open, and they're going to push it. We're already above yesterday's high. I'll go with you with 39. I just don't have anything. I just don't have anything between 38.15 and 39.42. So you go to the book, you know, probably something there at 39. So I'll go with you on that one. If you do get a pullback, and I've seen Pfizer, I don't know how many times it's had pops on earnings or drug news or whatever. A lot of times it gives some back. It will give you a chance to get back in. Top of yesterday's range is 37.75, if that's something that you want to take out for a little gap fill. So that's what you're looking at. Pfizer, formerly based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They bought Warner Lambert, Dennis, for a free pop. What was the symbol of Warner Lambert?
I don't know if that might have been before my time.
Really?
Was that before 1999? Before I was propped?
Yeah,
I don't remember
think it was.
Warner Lambert. Yeah, I don't remember the symbol. So I'm
WLA.
not gonna get this one.
WLA.
No, don't remember that one. McDonald's earnings.
Let's go to Mickey D's.
All right, let me pull it up here in the handy dandy Benzinga Pro. McDonald's out this morning. Q2 adjusted EPS 66 cents, missed the 74-cent consensus analyst estimate. Sales 3.76 versus $3.68 billion. So it beat on the sales and a miss on the earnings per share. That's not great. Global comp sales declined about 24% on a year-over-year basis. That is to be expected, though. I think they said that U.S. sales actually grew.
it's kind of the day that the market's not pricing in anything, which is weird from an earnings perspective, because you'd think Mickey D's, so I mean, the stores, all they got is drive-through. Their stores are closed, so I knew they weren't going to do as good as they were doing. And obviously, I had to run up into it too. But I'm going to get to my reasoning behind this, because I see a pop at Polaris, I see a pop in SHW, because nobody knew that everybody was paying their homes. Nobody knew that everybody wanted to do outdoor activities. I mean, it's, Captain Obvious here is winning. So shorting the restaurant and buying the paint store and buying the outdoor activity recreational vehicle store worked, and that was just logic. Jason Raznick style right there. Logic working today.
Street,
so McDonald's,
really,
give us some technicals here.
Oh, Street leaning the wrong way on this one, man. Rallying this thing like big time into the report, and now everyone is caught here.
Is it not absolutely ridiculous? Just stop for a second here too, though. Like, McDonald's is now back to where it was before everything started. And I mean, some people are saying, well, they're going to get more business because nobody's eating out and they're going through drive-thrus. Those McDonald's drive-thrus are busy, but I will tell you, not having the stores open has got to impact sales to a certain extent. I can't see them selling more stuff through these the drive-thrus are already packed. How can you get them more packed? So I find it incredible that the stock is all the way back up to where it was prior to the whole crisis.
And it's not like sales are coming back to where they were, right?
No. So now you're just paying way more for those same sales, even if you get them to where they were before. So, and McDonald's had problems. Remember, McDonald's had the big sell-off before COVID hit. So if you go and look at your charts and you go out to your weeklies, there was a disappointing earnings report in there that McDonald's went from $210 down to $188. I remember that because me and Mr. Elconin had a bet. And I believe, I don't know who won that bet, but
I won it. It went.
I'll just say I won it.
I did. It went through it by like a nickel or whatever.
Yeah, you want to buy like a nickel or something. Rip me off on that one. But anyways, I do remember that. So it was actually trading like 190. So it's actually $10 higher than when COVID started. So is McDonald's a more valuable company with COVID? Is it all of a sudden a COVID stock? The earnings are saying no. The logic kind of says no. I mean, yes, the restaurants are open for drive-through, but having the physical restaurants closed, I don't think it's good either. So I'm not a fan of owning McDonald's at $200 until they figure all this out.
Yeah,
I love the business, but I don't think it's a COVID stock.
I did, yeah. Of course, lower expenses, less employees, right? Which is, a mixed bag there. I'm sure they'd rather have the employees.
For sure.
Pre-market trading, they spiked it down a couple times into the 194 handle. So I think they got a little bit overdone there. 194 is your pre-market low, and just a little bit ago they snuck it under 194 again, 193.75. But now you're up. Those are just quick spikes and back up. Now you're hanging out at 196.95. I'm going to go to the dailies here, and I'm just to see these parallels here at 196, 196.
Can you point them out with a cursor or something? Like,
I had it here. Oh, man.
You're saying, see these parallels. I see 4 charts here. And
all right.
If we're going to do one chart, we can tell. With 4 charts, we need to get the cursor going. We're going to teach Joel how to at least do the cursor.
No, I got a lesson coming up later on today.
Okay, Joel's going to get better on this. Trust us. The visual, this is the new for us, this 4 chart thing, but
okay, let's see what happens here.
Oh, you got this little thing. Can we get like an arrow? This is like a little squiggly, like eyebrow pointing thing.
Oh my God, so picky. As long as I can see the cursor, I'm happy.
Right here. Yeah, right there, man. You
see, do that. Yeah, keep moving around so we know. There. It'd be nice if it was like a purple little thing. I don't know why I like purple so much.
What's your obsession with the purple color?
I don't know why. I like purple ever since I was a little kid. It's just my favorite color. I was always a purple kind of kid. I was a little 5 years old. So what's your favorite color? Purple.
Blue.
Okay. Anyway, pair of lows, Joel.
Right.
A pair of lows at 196. It's all we care about. We don't care about Dennis's favorite color.
Sometimes they do.
That's it. 196. That's what I'm looking at. If you think you're going to get it at the pre-market low, then whack it at 196. I see a lot of overhead supply here. A straight up move from 1 to 84. I don't know. I'm just thinking people are stuck. Why did I buy this in a report? I read a couple analyst reports. Oh, McDonald's.
Buy the dip. We'll buy it. And McDonald's a love company. So as you get dips on this, probably gets bought. as long as they don't think this virus is starting to get worse again, McDonald's probably dips get bought. So I'll go with you, Joel.
Okay. All right. S&P's hanging out down 1250, 32.19 and a half. So we're 4.5 points off that pre-market low, just kind of chop and slap between 32.17 and 32 and a quarter.
So we have
earnings.
Polaris and Sherwin-Williams, both unofficially, but probably more officially COVID plays, both responding well with really good earnings. I mean, we knew Sherwin-Williams was killing it. Everybody's at home and they're sitting at home. What am I going to do? I'm going to paint my house. So SHW, pure COVID play, up 21 points. They must have blew it away.
On the EPS, they certainly did. The Q2 adjusted EPS, $7.10 versus a $5.77 estimate. So they blew away the estimate on their earnings. Sales also beat 4.6 versus $4.53 billion, but they also raised their EPS guidance for the year. Check this out. They raised it from a range of the mid $16 handle to the mid $18 range. Now it's from mid 19 to high 20s. So they raised their guidance by a couple dollars per share on the full year EPS to go with what was an amazing quarter.
Amazing quarter. It's not going to get better for them though. Like, I mean, is everybody just going to continue to paint their homes? So I got to think that, yeah, you know, it was awesome because everybody's sitting at home. What do? I paint my home. But once you paint your home, you're going to continue to paint your home and do that every quarter, just continue to paint everything.
Oh,
so
some of us might. Don't judge.
I just think this is going to be as good as it gets for Sherwin-Williams. So he has to make an all-time highs. I never short a stock making new all-time highs. Could stay in favor for a while, sure, but I just think that it's not going to get better. This is as good as it gets, I think.
All right, if this is as good as it gets, then we'll look at that pre-market high, 649.95. We're not too far away from that. That is a new all-time high. So just that number 650 sticks in your. Oh, actually, the pre-market high is 657. So we've leaked $10 off that. You wanted to get over 657. You want to go 660 bid. You want to go 665. If not, you don't get to 657, then I see a little bit of a fade coming here in Sherwin-Williams. And top of yesterday's range, I think you might see the top of yesterday's range in this one. That was 61 or 631.88. So that's what you're looking at in Sherwin-Williams.
Polaris, outdoor activities. Everybody's buying outdoor machines because they're doing more things outdoors. People aren't allowed to go indoors, or they're not going into public places as much. So they're outside doing their thing. And you know what? Showing up in Polaris.
Leaking. Do you want to give the report,
I just wanted to
Spencer?
give props to Jason Rasnick, who called it out on this show. So nice call, Jason, if you're listening. PII. Trading up, it is leaking the gains a little bit. I will say there is a major resistance point at 104.22 now. That was the high back from June the 5th. We are now back below that, so that becomes relevant once again. What does it do there at the all-time high?
Yeah,
That's not the all-time high, actually, if I correct myself. Look at the weekly on this, Joel. There is all kinds of resistance 103 to 104. Go out there and look at the monthly.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Now, again, it was so I really correct myself because this was much higher. I didn't know it was about $157, but lots of resistance here, 104. Somewhat concerning.
What do they make, like skidoos and stuff and things like that? And
snowmobiles,
watercrafts and snowmobiles. Yeah.
Fun, ATVs.
Fun stuff. I don't like the fact that we're that far off the pre-market high. I mean, it shows me that the algos just got a little crazy, took it to 109. Now you're back at 103.5. So I just think you're going to have to pick an intermediate term resistance level. Let's even see what this high was on June 8th. The high on June 8th was 102.51. We're above that, so you could use that as support. But the fact that we faded $4.5 off that pre-market high, I just think so. They're going to have a hard time getting back up there. Plus, the option buyers, who knows how crazy the premiums were, but, they might, if you had 100 calls and you paid $1 for them, now they're worth $3.50 or $4. So I don't know. Just seems a little... It looks good. The chart looks good. I love seeing it up $5.5 for Raz, but just don't know if we're going to get back to 109.
Hog not doing so well. So outdoor activity, as in motorbikes, not doing as well here this morning. Give us the details on HOG.
Yeah, this one is just the continuation of a trend. Let me see if I can get the
Struggling for a
number or
long
the gap
time.
number. So
Stock in a short-term uptrend, but in a long-term
yeah, I'm not sure the CPS
major
number is,
downtrend.
I'm not sure the CPS number is comparable. If it is, it's really bad. The EPS, it lost 35 cents per share. The estimate was for an 8-cent gain. Sales 865 million versus 829 million. So they have sales, but their earnings are just not where the street thought they would be.
Stock trading down slightly. It is in a short-term uptrend. That's the one good thing. The bad news is this overall trend, if you go to the monthlies, has been straight down for basically a decade. Back in 2014, $74 a share. Now $29, $28 in the pre-market. It's really hard to get excited about this. I see major overhead supply around 30. That was the point where we broke down from when we had the low back in July of 2019. So all I say is there is some support here, so they're not just slamming it.
Yep.
And there is a big bidder in the pre-markets, and we don't often point out, but Hog's volume is fairly light. So that volume, the bid that's there, which is 13,027.85 on ARCA, is significant. So that's trying to hold it up. I'd say that's significant for the pre-market.
No. I mean, at 27.
Yeah, somebody's saying,
okay,
I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer around 28. So we're seeing some buyers coming around 28.
They're looking at the 27.66 low. That was from July 22nd. You also had a low at 27.75. So there's 3 lows right there under the 28. If they blast through that, maybe a gap fill at 27.49. That was your high on July 14th. So getting into this area, coming back on the upside, if you want to try and sell yesterday's low, 28.64. That's not too far away. 28.64 was the low, and 29.28 to close. So those are your obstacles on the upside for Hog. The former symbol on that one, Dennis. Very easy for you.
HDI, wasn't it?
Yep, correct.
Harley Davidson Industries. Hog, much better ticker symbol. They're all over that when that came.
You ever been on did you ever own a motorcycle?
Never even been on one.
Never even been on one?
You? Never been on one. Nope.
Man,
I'm a risk manager. It seems too much risk. Spencer laughing, but this is I've lived and people think, and it's funny, they think you're a day trader. Oh, you're a risky guy. I live because I'm a risk manager. I put my capital out there in low risk situations, at least where I have an out, where I deem an out, and I see risk reward on everything I do. I see, I'm gonna have a little fun zipping around, but then something happens and I had so I'm out on the Hog.
I don't even know if they make them anymore. I had a Honda QA50 when I was like 7, 8. It was this little bike. I used to rip around the neighborhood. The cops used to chase me a little bit, but and that thing wouldn't go more than 25 miles an hour. And then I had a moped in college. And the reason I gave up the moped is I was driving to swim practice at 5:30 in the morning, and I went over this bridge that connects the campus. And this is like the second week in November, and I hit a patch of ice, and I slid like halfway across the bridge and called on my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm done with the moped." So that was my last motor vehicle.
How about you, Spencer? Are you a Harley Davidson?
Yeah, he looks like a hawk. I can see you in the leather jacket,
got the beard going.
Yeah, little ponytail. Spencer has a ponytail in the back. He never shows us.
Yeah. I do not. All right, I'm bringing it back. You just make up things. I'm bringing it back to the stocks here. Can we talk about Kodak here? This is going to be the stock of the day.
At least in Robinhood.
Yeah,
KODK. So first they pivot to crypto and blockchain in January 2018. I don't really know how that worked out for them. I don't think it worked out well at all. But today they're announcing that they landed a $765 million loan under the Defense Production Act, and they're going to manufacture ingredients for generic drugs. So they went from a camera company to blockchain to crypto company. Now they are a generic drug ingredient manufacturing company.
They're going after the headlines, trying to get the lift. So all I want to know is who got the memo yesterday? Look at the pop on this thing yesterday ahead of this news. That's a big candle. That's the biggest up move it's had in 2 months.
Look at that. Oh, man.
213 to 265. I'd be looking at who was buying that thing yesterday.
I'd be there right now.
if there
I'm
was some
calling the
insider
SEC,
buys happening, that's interesting, knowing this type of headline, which is just trying to basically drive the price up, in my opinion. So, and it is.
Wow.
I mean, people are all over it. Would I be chasing this? Absolutely not. I think when the dust settles, this thing will be back down. But this thing gets wicked. It's had wicked spikes, and it can go on wicked 2-day runs too. Look back to 2017 when they did the whole blockchain from 3 to 13. Well, eventually it came back down to earth. I believe it will do that again. So I wouldn't be chasing it up at $8 because I don't know when the hot potato ride ends. But I think you got to be careful with it, shorting it as well, because these things can go crazy. This is a squeeze now. But that's just ridiculous that I had, you know, a 10%.
Look at that bar yesterday.
No, yeah. So for close the previous day at $2.10, and then blast off to $2.60. You're talking about a 20% move up day ahead of this headline. Which, give us the headline here again. So they're going into now they're going into drugs.
They got a government loan, and they're going to produce ingredients for generic drugs, including that hydroxychloroquine drug.
I had to throw that one in there too, right?
That got talked about a lot. So these are ingredients for drugs. It's
a purely promotional headline, in my opinion. Sorry, I just think this is like the people inside the company trying to get their stock price to go up. That's my opinion, just my opinion.
Well, they got a loan. I mean,
they get a loan, but I mean, they went so it's Kodak, and then they went blockchain, and now they're trying to get on the COVID craze too. I guess they're trying things.
Is there that big a difference? Is there that big a difference between like chemicals for a dark room and like chemicals for medicine? I don't know. I'm just saying, chemicals are chemicals.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a reach. So okay, I'll take it back. But it seems like this is the headline to try to get the price up. That's all. My opinion. Just my opinion.
Joel, pull your charts up so we can see what it's doing today.
Okay.
I guess every insider needs to work for shareholders trying to get the price of their stocks. So I guess it's the goal to make their companies worth more. So if you look at it from that perspective, but I hope I don't see a lot of insider sales today.
This is really going to make your skin crawl here, Dennis. The volume on Friday, 75,000 shares. The volume yesterday, 1.6 million.
Was there any headline yesterday, Spencer?
I'm going to my PR/SEC news feed.
Any reason besides everybody knew this headline? Or obviously, a lot of people.
Not everybody. It could be like the guy.
Some people knew this headline was coming out. Pretty
May
obvious.
15th. I have maybe the guy in the mailroom or something.
Was there rumors publicly out there that they were going to do something like this?
I can't speak to there being rumors. I don't know, but I can tell you there was not a single press release or SEC filing. That looks very, very suspicious. This is just very suspicious trading activity from yesterday. We're pointing it out.
But can't the SEC just go boom, boom and figure out who did it and who bought it?
They can. They can look at that if they want to.
Okay.
If they think, I just see a chart, something spikes 20%, and then the headline comes out. That's going to move the stock up 200%, and it hasn't had a huge move, and the volume goes from 75,000 to over 1 million shares the day before this big headline comes. It looks suspicious.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist. This is a little bit tougher one to pick. I'm not going to try and pick a top yet because the 15-minute and the 30-minute, they've just been marching this thing north. So what you want to do is you want to keep an eye on the pre-market high. It currently stands at 875. So keep an eye on that at 9:29 and 59 seconds. Jot that down. And see if they can just jam it through there. If they jam it through there and it just keeps on going, let's say opens up 860, goes to 910, and then pauses, then comes back under 910, takes out that 860 low, then it could be lights out. But no way you can possibly buy it off the open, and being a little cautious shorting it, keeping an eye on that pre-market high, big volume. 18 million shares have traded, Dennis.
Retail is like the Robinhood traders are going to be all over this stock.
Yes.
And that's the concern as well, because they drive price. We've been talking about this phenomenon for, at least the last 3 to 4 months, where when retail gets a hold of something, it can really drive the price a lot further than you think. And when stocks are disconnected from fundamentals, or they're just, it's just hot, the story is hot, all of a sudden there's a story here, stocks can go crazy. So I'm not shorting at 843 because it could be $18 in my face in like a day. It could do that. So I can't control the risk on it, so I can't short it. Now, if you get a candle where it tops out, then all of a sudden I can control the risk. Maybe on day 2, maybe it gets a little more interesting. But even if the stock goes back to $3 or $4 in 3 months, if it goes up to 15 or 20, you'll be able to hold through that. So it's a no touch for me.
I agree. Just if you got it, look to book profits. It's an interesting one. Okay, we got Nick lurking in the background.
He'll be joining us in just a minute. He's not here yet. So in the meantime, I want to just go to a couple stocks.
20% short interest in that too. Someone just.
Oh, there you go. So we're squeezing them.
Ouch.
Gotta watch shorting these stocks at like a buck or two, and they're just sleepy because all of a sudden a headline comes and death to the shorts.
I do want to get to a couple tickers from the chat, and we'll get to more after Nic Chahine is on. But let's just look at Shopify here. I saw that guy drop into the chat earlier in the hour. Again, earnings 24 hours from now, I believe. Tomorrow morning is when they report.
Yeah, and I got upgrade from Goldman. So upgrading to buy. So a gutsy call ahead of an earnings report, getting the big lift here. It's up 30 points in the pre-market there. GS can drive price. So, but again, it's going to matter. The earnings are going to matter too. So it's up 3%. 1074 is the all-time high. Can it get that far ahead of the report? I don't think it's going to go crazy here, but at the same time, this could get the stock excited again.
Yeah, once again, it's $1,000 stock, kind of over my pay grade, trading at the highs of the pre-market session right here. Right now, you have 10,007 is your high. Pair highs, I'm going to give you a region in this one because with $1,000 stock, it's very difficult to see everything. But an interesting area, none the least. 1011.81 and 1024.98. Pick your poison right between those. Sometimes it's good just to split them. That's like 12. So you add 6, 1018. See if you get lifted on your 1018 offer, and then see what happens at 1025. Then it really opens up closer to, that's right, 1074.98. But trading at the highs of the pre-market session, you can't argue with that.
All right, still waiting on Nick to join us. I want to look at Nikola here. We'll be joined by the CEO and president at 9. Something worth paying attention to for everyone who is trading or even investing in Nikola is the float on this stock is increasing dramatically. They had some warrants that were exercised. They've had a couple of insider lockup expirations, and there's a big lockup expiration in early December, a big one. So the share count is going to dramatically increase for the next short term, for the next few months, basically. So that could act as like a technical.
Sometimes when these lockup expirations happen, you can see pressure on the stocks as there's obviously insiders that are now allowed to sell.
Exactly.
So, that's one thing to consider always. And that's why these, are often noted. It'll be interesting to see, talk to the CEO here today, obviously. I tried to buy this yesterday. We set up the trade on the show, and I was saying, I think 30, with all the option open interest that was there, I think 30 landed pretty good support. I threw my order in the mid 30s. I thought, it was it opened at 31.60. I was like, okay, come on down, get in the mid 30s, maybe retest that 30 support and then take off. It went down a little bit, but it never got into the 30s. So it didn't even get close to my limit order, which was, I think, around like 30, 40, and 30. I might have had multiple orders out there, but I was in the lower 30s and it never got there. And then it just blasted off. So I missed this trade. Hopefully some other people maybe caught it. It was a decent setup. So where it goes from here, obviously going to depend a lot on what CEO says, but also, there's a lot of other factors involved here too. It was oversold. It was due for a bounce.
Right. My point in saying is this is not a fundamental factor. It's got nothing to do with the company and everything to do with the stock. So if you're trading the stock, be aware of the fact that there's going to be a lot of sellers most likely coming into the market that could act as a headwind for the next 5 months or more, is my point.
It's hard to go now. The setup was cleaner now, like I said, 30, but if you're buying, it's 33.78. So now you're almost 4 points off that 30 support level that I was trying to lean on. What are your thoughts here, Joel?
Roger Milley paid his mortgage off our call from this yesterday.
Oh, nice. Good
Yeah,
job, Roger.
Yeah,
Somebody
good
made some
job.
money at least. Wasn't me.
Yeah. You were a little bit too low here.
I know. Should
I
have been
mean,
more aggressive.
59. I mean, you got some mo, right? You get going. I mean, I don't have the daily pivot in front of me, but I kind of look at that as the area I wanted to hold. 35 high and then 33, kind of like right in the middle of the range, 33. So I'd really like to see this hold 33. What it really needs to do is it really needs to take out 35. Then you get another round of short covering here, up to 37.20. But
40 is huge.
Yeah.
If it gets back to 40, there's going to be sellers lined up at 40. That's a long ways away, but there's almost room. Like if you're in it, I'd just be bringing up your stops because there is some room. But 40 is huge. So as you get in the upper 30, 37, 38, 39, it starts to get thicker. So I got a little bit of room here, though.
All right, I am not sure where Nic Chahine is. I'll give him a pass because we know he was on vacation.
Well, I hope he's okay.
I don't think he knows he's supposed to be on.
He does. We emailed yesterday.
Where did he go to Cancun?
I'm not sure where he went. I know he was on vacation, and he's back, but he's probably like
Nick flies.
He's hungover from that vacation. So
no, not Nick. He needs
Nick
a
doesn't
health
drink.
diet. All right.
I know. I mean, like the vacation hangover.
Oh yeah, that air.
That's what I don't mean.
He's got jet lag.
I don't mean literally hungover. I mean,
we're just joking.
Yeah. Okay. I want to do some more tickers from the chat here. We were asked about Corning and GLW. They had earnings this morning. EPS beat 25 cents, first 12 cents. Sales 2.6 bill, first $2.37 billion. So beating the beat for Corning this morning.
A lot of nothing happening here. Very light volume, 40,000 shares. It's bounced. It's sold off a bit. It's bounced back. Really ripped into earnings yesterday. So we had the pre-earnings run in this one big time yesterday. I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Get over 30.83. That was a high from yesterday. You're trading around unchanged. Let them prove that, hey, they like this. This is a good report. We're taking it through yesterday's high. We're going to 31. We're going 31 bid. And then our next monthly target would be not too far. 31.10 was a high in October of last year. So there was a couple other pesky monthly highs over 32. So not over 32, but over 30. Let's see. I mean, it close over, take out that 31.10, keep on going. If not, you lose that closing price and you start to go into retreat. Major support in the lower 29 handle. Yesterday's low 29.07, 2-day low 29.22.
We're ripping higher here on gold, almost getting GLD's almost back to flat. So let's talk silver and gold here for a second because we had some crazy moves last night. Silver ripped higher, and if we look at the after hours chart, you'll see it got up to over. I think on the futures we're over $25 last night.
Over 26.
It got over 26. Holy. And just reverse. They pulled the rug out from under it, and obviously now it's down significantly. I've got some trading positions on, some miners against SLV, some miners against GLD. So I'm all paired up here. Pretty much net neutral to gold and silver as best as I can be. But holy, gold GLD ripping higher from the lows. So if you look at the, if we go over to GLD as well, we were very weak about 3-4 hours ago, and we've come all the way back. And so buy the dip emerging here, both in silver and gold, at least overnight.
Yeah, I mean, these are tough ones, and I don't have my 24-hour GLD chart up, but I just want to show you one thing here in the silver. If you were just happen to be trading this in the middle of the night, right, 1-2 p.m., and we talk about consolidate, like you could concentrate on highs and you can concentrate on lows, but a lot of times it's consolidation. So you had that high over 26, you had the big drop, and this is based the 15-minute chart. And you just hung out for all these different brackets, right? That's pretty good consolidation. That's within a 50-cent range and something that's been an absolute rocket ship. But once, and this was about 3:15 this morning, you took out the bottom of that consolidation range. And once you did, boom, it really took it out. So here you are, you're another consolidation range here. It looks like between 23.5 and 24. So, hey, you bust above 24, maybe get back up 24.5. I don't know what the mid-range is here. But, even though it's wild, there still are periods of consolidation, and that's what you had. Let's see if gold's been a little bit more tame. Gold had the drop. That's coming off a recent consolidation too here. So it looks like after it came off the low, made a bump, hung out between 1920 and 1930 for a while, and now to catch another leg and run up to 1940.
All right, Nic Chahine has joined us. He is the author of Create Income with the Option Spreads, also runs Spreads.com. Nic, I gave you a pass because I know you're out of town and it messes with everyone's schedules, so it's okay.
I apologize. That was my mistake. I didn't get ready fast enough and scrambled. Hopefully I can get a few minutes in.
So where were you exactly?
I went to Cancun. Yeah, I'm the crazy guy that didn't
flew on a plane.
Vacation. I went on 4 flights. They canceled.
4?
Yeah,
we got to
because
talk about this.
Well, I had a direct flight, nonstop back and forth, and then the day of, they called me to say your flights are canceled. We no longer have direct flights, so I had to leave early. So scrambled, packed the family. We jumped on 2 flights on the way there, 2 flights on the way back, and the flights were packed, shoulder to shoulder. First class got booked before economy, which tells you people are freaked out a little bit. Not that it's not much bigger in first class. So the planes were mask only. You can take off your mask when you're eating. So if you put a drink in front of you, you can pretty much have no mask on the whole flight if you wanted to, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
The airports are all masked all the time. Again, if you're eating, you don't have a mask. So carry a cup of coffee with you that you can have no mask on the whole time. It's just bizarre. The airports were empty.
How was the resort? Was it packed or was it?
No, not at all. The area, the Quintana Roo is the area there, and the Cancun resort area. So Quintana Roo was red zone, so high, and then magically Cancun area was orange, so they can open the resorts. But they were capped. They had a cap of 30%, but they were nowhere near 30%. We pretty much had it for our own self.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. The amenities are a lot less because they can't have open buffets. They do have a buffet, but somebody serves you. So, we have a lot of contact with a lot of locals. All the locals are masked and gloved and face shielded. So they are doing, I thought, a lot better than I expected in respecting our health. So I encourage them. I was happy to see that, even though I'm not one of the ones that is freaked out over the virus. So I did appreciate their effort. They went a long way, but they're working on about 40% staff. So the vacation was insane. I mean, I've been there like 9 times, and this was the best weather, the best beaches. It's empty. So it was a great vacation.
Is just nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the beach to yourself, probably. That's, I mean, if you're willing to take the risk, I guess, flying and going on vacation right now, you're getting rewarded with, obviously, empty resort to have fun at them by yourselves.
Yeah, well, we had a group of about usually 18 that go, and only 6 of us went.
Okay.
So,
but you still had a good time.
Oh, I had a great time.
Now, do you trade when you're down there?
I do, but only I keep up so I can maintain the chat room going and maintain the message because I do track the market for hundreds of people. So I need to make sure that my message goes out. So at a very reduced rate, I just pop in to check on things and put in my chart updates and see what they're doing. I mean, the chat room was buzzing and they keep great levels for me and they keep me informed. So I don't have to be tied to my PC at all.
So let's take it back to the markets here. You're now back, and it takes me always a while. If I take a week off, I'm always like a little bit to get back the feel, get that, trading feel back. Are you back in the feel now?
Yeah, I did get back into it by just trading the SPX little, like bought the dip last week, sold some put spreads into the fear and booked them yesterday a little bit early, but that was fine. I have some, I sold at 32.05 on Friday and I won on that one, even though I did book it early. I didn't play it all the way into the end of the day. And I was thinking about selling some credit call spreads in front of them now to make like an iron condor sort of range bound, but I decided not to, given the earnings that are coming. I shorted silver yesterday via the SLV.
Ooh, nice timing.
Yeah, and I saw the overnight action. It was like, maybe I'm going to get stopped out. But, I just posted a monthly chart on silver, and I just felt like the daily candles are insane. And usually you don't see that type of candle pattern hold without at least a retest. So it's not like a massive position. It's just a good sized position to where I would want to stop myself out. Luckily for silver,
can you set it up for us to trade like what you took on silver?
I just bought puts. You can buy them at the money, and silver is one of those tickers where the ETF trades weird. If you're not close to the money, it's hard to make money at it, even though you guess the right direction. So don't get cheap with it. If you want to do it close to the money so you can profit right away. Up or down, doesn't matter.
So jump over silver. You trade gold too, because gold obviously had a big overnight move. It sold off, and now it's come back to scratch. It looks like it's done nothing, but it's been a wild range here overnight for GLD. What are your thoughts on gold?
The gold, I've said here months ago, it's a buy and hold because of what they're doing, the central banks are doing to cash. And because we say trillion, and now there's something has to hold value. I said gold and Bitcoin should be a hold. And I've been long gold for the longest time. I got out of my GLD for trading purposes. I was looking to get back in, and I haven't had that opportunity. I'm pretty sure I will. So I'm patient to re-enter gold, but technically I don't have a trigger for it right now. So if I'm long, I can stay long. But my position in the GLD was kind of a wonky broken wing thing where I needed 180 to be perfect. And it came pretty close to that. So I was like, thank you, I'll get out, even though it's not my perfect pin, but it was a good enough win that I got out.
What else have you been trading here, Nick? Anything else on your radar?
Yes, but I went back to just selling puts in on bad days into things like when they punished Intel. I thought that they're punishing it for the wrong reason, even though I hate the management. But eventually they will turn around. So sold some puts into the fear there. Bought some calls into Ford that paid right away, and I think they report earnings this week. So maybe this Bronco thing will bring some legitimacy back on Wall Street for the management team. Also been sucking wind there. So I shorted Tesla very gently with a debit put spread. So it's neither here nor there. It's out to the end of the year. Just a simple $10 wide spread that cost about $3. So it's just a like picking at it. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate because of this. So I don't deny what they've done. And the stock did more than I thought ever it can do. There's no doubt about it. But they keep telling me it's not a car company. Isn't it like 98% of its revenues from car stuff? So I get it. It's not a car company. I get the concept. But where is that other stuff? It's time to start talking about that other stuff. Because as a car company, it's super expensive.
It's the most valuable car company in the world.
Yeah,
with 1/10 of the sales of
right. So
other majors.
They're doing great stuff. I mean, they're expanding, and if he goes along this way, he's going to become a giant car company with giant car company problems. Like you can't have one model, and then you're going to have dozens of models, and then all the same problems are going to show up. So the EV is more reliable and all of this. There's no doubt about it. But where's that other stuff? I don't know if it's worth that much in just as a car company. So that's alone is not a reason to short it like the old style where you just sell the stock short. That's just insanity given what it can do. The short interest I hear is dropped considerably. I haven't checked lately.
I think it's 7 or 8% only now. It's really dropped.
That's down from like 30 or 20.
Oh yeah, it was over 30 for a long time. And the borrow is easy too. I know I had some people asking me about the borrow. And for a while there, when everybody was shorting it, it was expensive. It's cheap now too.
Yeah. So whatever happened with the stock recently was just mind-boggling. I don't know, were they chasing the news that it was going to join the S&P or what? But it was just insanity.
Yes. The answer is yes.
I think so. I think they're still chasing that news to a certain extent, and that's why I've been saying I think it might get a pop on that headline, but I think that pop's going to be a fade.
Right.
I'm kind of waiting. I've even said I'm waiting for that pop get the 100-point pop on the initial headline because the algos will all buy it. Oh, it's into the S&P.
Yeah.
And that's when I plan on striking on the short side. But
right.
I don't know. We don't know when that's coming. It could come.
Right. I agree. They usually pop the news, they chase it, they pop it, they pop it, they pop it. And then when the news actually comes out, like the Greek deal, that's what they do. They celebrate it 8 or 9 times. And then finally, when the deal comes, they celebrate it one more time. And then they look around, it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And the news over the earnings, I mean, the earnings were perfect. There was no hair on that report, and they couldn't hold a pop. So that's good. But that was the case back when it hit 980 the first time. I was like, they will never come back to that price. And then they came back to it and fell just short of it. And I said, see, I told you they'll never get that price. And then look at it now. It's like, bam. So technically, I see it, how it happened. But the way the ramp happened, that last bit from 1,000 on to 1,800, that was just, wow, impressive. And we'll see how that plays out. I'm totally interested to see how it plays out.
Nick, I was gonna email you over the weekend because you know how I get these like levels stuck in my head and I just can't forget about them. Well,
what?
I got one stuck in my head now and I just can't get rid of it. This 3190 support in the S&P 500 futures. Look at, I mean, just on the daily, low at 88.50, a low at 90, and a low at 91.25, low at 91.5, and a low at 92 yesterday in the Globex session. So, we closed kind of weak on Friday, so I thought we might flush that area without, now we're 30 points away from it, but not without making like a directional call here. Obviously, I think if we take out 3190, I think, we got the short-term party is over. But I want to maintain the bullish stance because that's the way it's been for 3 or 4 months without paying up to the premium gods and being, 30 points away from that level. What would you look at as a potential option strategy?
Well, first of all, I did issue a balance. If I'm long a whole bunch of stuff, I would sell call spreads in the SPX, for example. If I'm just long a whole bunch of regular stuff, if I'm long a bunch of tech stuff, I would sell it in the Qs, for example. And are you trying to catch the falling knife or trying to short it? Or
I know, I just know we got a big move coming out of here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
yeah, I don't want to just predict like I think it's going down all the time or going up all the time.
I don't disagree with you. I just posted a chart, and every day I put out lines. That's why you see a whole bunch of lines on my charts, but every set is for a particular day. So I did last week, I posted a red line that says, are we drawing the right hand of a head and shoulder, and the neckline is around your line? So if we do trip over that, I mean, there's a finite downside immediate, which is around 3150 eyeball. So it's not the end of the world. So here's the better question for you is, who's in control? The buyers are in control. So they will buy the dip until that changes. And the only thing that would change that is sentiment. So if you can control sentiment, then there's whatever has been going on will continue to go on, which is a buy the dip move. So I would not short when it hits that level unless you're shorting the trigger from it. And then
Correct.
I would do that, and I would expect support in the 3150 zone just from the price action that happened July 14th. And then there's one behind it that happened a little bit lower. And one behind it happened a little bit lower. So every neckline they use to pop from will become support on the way down and an attempt to hold. The only way they would slice through all of this is another COVID thing. That came out of nowhere and no support held. They just went straight down.
You can find more insights from Nick by going to either of his services. Create Income with Option Spreads is one. Sellspreads.com is the other. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, there we go. When he's not on, he's responsive. Even when he's on vacation, he does his work. There you go. Nic Chahine, thanks so much for the time today. And
sorry about being late.
Oh, that's okay. It happens. Like I said, you cut you some slack for being on vacation. Have a good one, Nick.
Thank you.
Let's give some final thoughts before I go to our next guest.
It's a choppy day. This is a choppy day. You've seen silver and gold shopping around, way up overnight silver, then way down, gold way up, way down, now flat. You're seeing it in tech. We were up, now we're down. We're all over the place here. So this is going to just be chop. We're coming into the heart of earnings season. Amazon, Facebook, we just got
Apple.
some big guns. Apple coming. So, Wednesday, Thursday are going to be huge days for earnings. Even tonight, we're getting some big dogs. AMD is going to report here after the bell. So lots of catalysts coming. It's going to be chop until we have, some clarity on where the earnings are.
Easy for me, bulls, to regain control of the market for today. You have your close at 32.25, and that's right with mid-range. So, I'll use that as our resistance the first time up. If in fact we get above and hold that, I'll look us to easily, or not easily, but get up and test that pre-market high of 46.75. On the downside, if you do take out that 15 pre-market low, maybe you got 7-8 points of downside. Your intraday low from yesterday, 07.25.
All right, don't forget, folks, to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate that as always. I now want to bring on our next guest. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. Mark Russell. He is the president and CEO of Nikola Motors. Let's get his video and his audio up here on Zoom. I've got the chart up there you can see of Nikola. Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
I know it's early for you, so I appreciate you getting up early with us. I'm very sympathetic to that fact. Let's start off with the news from last week. You just broke ground on the new production plant in Arizona. Congratulations about that. What are the plans for that, and when will that be done?
Well, we've started construction. Phase 1 will be done by next year in 2021. And then we'll finish phase 2 the following year and phase 3 the following year. So the plant will be completed in all 3 phases by 2023. But we'll be up with the first phase and using that to do some limited production next year.
Speaking of production, I'm just curious. This is kind of a two-parter, but I'm curious how COVID has sort of impacted your production timelines. I was hoping you could talk about that and give us an update, if there is one, on whether you're still on pace for the previously given production estimates for the semis and also for the truck, the
Badger.
Yeah, the Badger. Thank you. Sorry, I blanked out there for a minute.
So the production timeline for the Nikola Tre, which is the first vehicle that we'll have in production, coming out of Europe, which is where production would start first, out of our facility in Ulm, Germany. That has been affected by the virus. We had to shut that facility down in March, and then it came back up first part of June with some rules in place that limited productivity there. Everybody had to stay 2 meters apart and things like that.
Yeah.
So we lost some time there. What we're going to do is when it's clear that we're back to normal and we know exactly where we're going to be, we'll be able to announce what our start of production will be as moved to the right on the chart, because we were hoping to start production next summer, and we're probably going to have to move that to the right just a bit. I'm not sure how much, because the team is thrilled and excited and fired up. I was just actually was in Germany
Oh, wow.
a week ago, and at the facility, and reviewing everything and looking at the prototypes that are just coming together and about to go on the test track. The production prototypes, we have the first production prototypes coming off the line, and they'll go on the test track here in the next 6 weeks or so. So I'll be back there in September to see the production prototypes track testing. And they're so fired up that a number of them have agreed to miss their holiday, their vacation. As most Europeans, especially Germans, do, they take August off.
Right.
A number of the people that are working for us there have said, we're canceling our holiday. What we were going to do it wasn't going to be as fun anyway, because half of it closed. And so we'll cancel our holiday and work straight through and try to make up time, which it's just inspiring. The people that we have working for us there, we have some new employees there who've come in to us as a startup, but most of the people working for us there are heritage Magirus/Iveco employees that were at that facility before, and they are so fired up about being part of Nikola and helping us in our attempt to change the world here, that they're acting with as much enthusiasm and fire as all of our other employees.
So Mark, you've said previously that you're gonna most likely have to raise more money. Is that still the plan, to increase production?
Yeah, it has always been the plan. What we raised this year so far, and we just finished our public listing by merging with a SPAC, which had a little over 200 million on hand, and then we did a private investment in that of just over 500 million, and so we've got that cash on hand. There were warrants that were issued to the SPAC holders as part of the SPAC deal originally, 1-for-1. So there were about another 23 million shares that were warranted. And we'll have those called back in also, and that will raise us just over another 250 million. So our total fundraising this year has just under $1 billion. But that was planned to be enough to get us through this year and through all the activities next year. But by 2022, we'll need additional funds. That's outlined in our investor presentation on our website with our fundraising plans. Yeah.
Yep. So part of the challenge, obviously, is you need to start building these vehicles, these hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, but you also need to convince businesses, and you already have to some extent with Anheuser-Busch, but you need to convince these businesses in the long haul trucking industry to lease your vehicles. How do you convince them to do that?
Well, it's not very hard, really. Our proposition is a bundled lease, as you mentioned. We're not just selling trucks. On the fuel cell side, we're providing you with a truck that's powered by a hydrogen fuel cell. We're providing you with the fuel for that truck for 7 years or 700,000 miles, whichever comes first. And we're going to maintain it for you. So we take all of those worries away about, hey, will this thing work for me? Well, we're going to guarantee that. And can I find the fuel? Well, we're going to guarantee that as well. And we're going to give you a price that for most fleets, our target customers are dedicated fleets of mostly very large multinational corporations, and we're going to give you all that bundled lease, almost transportation as a service. If you've got a driver and a load, you're in business. Yeah. We're going to give you that at a price that's probably at or better than your current total cost of ownership for your diesel fleet. So their answer is, are you telling me that you're going to guarantee me that my total cost is no higher than diesel or about the same, and I'm going to be zero emissions? And we said yes, and they said sold.
But at the same time, the idea of hydrogen fuel was not a new one. People like Kathy would have done some estimates and some calculations, and they've estimated that the cost of building out the hydrogen charging infrastructure is dramatically more expensive than electric or other types of alternative energy. So how do you control those costs? Because it is expensive.
It is expensive. The way we do that, though, is, first of all, we've standardized the station design. We've been working on this for years with our partner NEL, which has been making hydrogen using electricity out of water for many decades. They're experts at it, but they hadn't been building stations like this at scale and on a repeatable basis. So we worked together with them to come up with a standardized station. We built the first one here in the Western Hemisphere of this new design. The dispensing part is at our headquarters here in Phoenix, and the station is standardized. It's cookie cutter. You can build it, and it's modular. You can build any size of it in 8,000 kilograms a day of capacity increments. So 8 metric tons a day, 16 metric tons a day, 24, et cetera. And we've standardized that. We've got long-term supply agreements for all the components in place with the suppliers, and we have agreements to get that cost down to our target by the fifth station. By the fifth station, we should be at our target cost, and then be able to drive it down further from there as we continue to take cost out of the system. Now, that's just the capital cost of the station. The real cost of making hydrogen out of electricity is the electricity.
Right.
So that's actually the most important part of this, is to make sure that you can get renewable electricity as much as possible at the location where you're making the hydrogen.
So you can understand why a lot of people are skeptical, because as cool as the designs and the prototypes, as cool as they look, you haven't actually produced anything yet. And yet, the stocks, we know stocks have the mind of their own, but the stock has just like blown right past where you are right now. So how do you sort of like, what do you say to that? Because the expectations and the reality seem to be at different stages right now.
The reason I think that we've gotten such a positive response from the capital market is because our plan is so bold, and it is so detailed. If you have a chance to dig into what we're doing, we have a detailed plan. And unlike some companies in the space, we have partnered with world-class companies to help de-risk and give us the resources to accomplish this. We have a partnership strategy. We're trying to build an ecosystem here because what we're trying to do is breathtakingly ambitious. I mean, it is. You're right. You should be skeptical before you look into the details, because what we're trying to do is disrupt the fossil fuel heavy transportation industry and the fossil fuel industry at the same time, right? How audacious is that? And that's why from the beginning we've said we need help, and so we've engaged partners, companies like Bosch. I mentioned Nell, Wabco, Meritor, Case New Holland, Iveco. These are the kind of companies, that world-class companies that we have partnered with to de-risk this strategy and bring resources to bear. We're going to continue to do that. We'll continue to be open to partnerships to help us be able to execute on this plan. It's really audacious. We understand that, but we believe we can do it. And enough of the market believes we can do it so far that we can raise the capital we need.
We're on the line with Mark Russell. He's president and chief executive officer of Nikola Corporation. Mark, just kind of like a broad question here, and you talked about help, and obviously you need to step up the production of the trucks to be able to sell them, to be able to make money. I mean, I'm a firm believer, in the next, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, there's just going to be a lot less cars on the road. For a variety of reasons. I mean, COVID has already, really decreased the traffic. I think people that work from home. What's the car company landscape going to look like in 5 years? I look at NIO and Volkswagen, Ferrari, GM, Ford, Fiat Chrysler, Tesla, Solo, Nikola, Workhorse. I mean, not all these companies can survive. What is there just going to be? Is everyone just going to be driving a Tesla and then maybe driving your truck? Where do you see the consolidation? And if you guys are having production problems, why aren't you reaching out to some of these, bigger car companies that, have idle facilities that you could perhaps transition your trucks over to?
Well, remember, we're going after two markets. We're going after the heavy truck market primarily. Our foray into the passenger car market, which is the Badger, which is a full-size pickup truck powered by a battery or a fuel cell. Those are two different markets. And you said that there's going to be a lot less cars on the road. I think that's not true for heavy trucks. If you look at the trend for commercial transportation, that's only been growing. People call it the Amazon effect, but the amount of freight that's on the roads is not going down, and I don't think it will go down in the foreseeable future, because the old distribution supply chain for retail in the world is being massively disrupted right now, and being replaced by direct-to-consumer model, the Amazon kind of model, which actually requires more commercial transportation on the road. So that I don't think is going to shrink. I think that even if you can get to autonomous driving, which is not here yet, of course, but even if you get to autonomous driving, I don't think you're going to see less commercial transportation on the road. I think it may actually grow. But on the passenger car front, you do see a huge proliferation of the number of people playing here. The OEMs are trying to reinvent themselves, and then you got the new players like us coming in saying, we're going to give this a fresh start. There's going to be a shakeout, no question about it. It's going to be highly competitive. There'll be a shakeout. Conditions now are very similar to where they were early in the last century, when the transition from horses was into internal combustion, and Henry Ford and the Model T, and all the competitors that sprung up. I was working out of Ohio for the last 12 years before I joined Nikola full time. And there's a city in Ohio where there were once, I think, like a dozen car manufacturers, and you wouldn't recognize any of the names because they all were they either went out of business or they were merged into and consolidated into the what became the big three.
Right.
So yeah, I think you're going to see a similar process that plays out here. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it'll be a similar process, and you'll have a consolidation of the winners.
Mark, your co-founder, your founder, Trevor Milton, said that you had been receiving 1,500 reservations a day for the Badger. Is that number still accurate? Is that still the case?
I have not seen the most recent reservations for the Badger, and remember, our approach on the Badger is different. You know, most people taking reservations for a vehicle are taking just $100 from people on a refundable basis. And we when we first showed the concept of the Badger, we took just reservations without a deposit. That's what our model has been for
Right,
years.
right.
And we had a lot of those. And then when we announced that we were actually going to build it, we'll do this going forward also with truck reservations. Our next truck reservation will be with deposits, and we'll take deposits from now on, because we're close enough to production that we think that that's warranted. But you know, we have a $5,000 reservation for the Badger. We have a $1,000 reservation, and we have a $250 reservation. So those are really hard reservations. People aren't just playing around if they put $5,000 down. And we basically got sold out of those pretty quick, and now we're filling up the 1,000 and the 250 slots. So I haven't seen the most recent ones, but we expect those to go up as we get closer to our Nikola World event in December, if we're able to hold it in this COVID time. And when we actually show the truck, we're going to show working prototypes that are completely production intent.
So without any sales and without earnings, how do you recommend investors or anyone value Nikola right now? Because it's tough.
It is tough unless you're looking at the long term, and that's what I'm looking for, is investors who want to buy into our long term vision and are willing to buy us and hold us. I think it's really tough to value it on the short term unless you're speculating and day trading it. And then
that's a different game entirely.
And it is a different game entirely. So we're looking for people who want to buy and hold us and see if we can do what we say we'll do. See if we can build these trucks, get them on the road, see if we can build charging and hydrogen dispensing stations and get them going, and see if we can build that Badger, and how the market receives it.
And just to confirm, you've got your earnings call next a week from today, actually, right? Next Tuesday?
On the 4th, yeah.
Right. And then as of now, Nikola World is still gonna happen, though who knows what December, what happened before December in 2020. But just to confirm that it's still the plan to happen.
It is.
Okay.
We're still trying to have it, just like everything else in life right now.
Right. Exactly.
You'd like to plan, but things are so crazy with this.
Yeah. All right. Mark Russell, as we mentioned, is the president and CEO of Nikola Corporation. Mark, like I said, I know it's early. I appreciate you waking up with us, and thanks a lot, and stay safe out there, because these are crazy times.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it very much.
All right. That is a wrap for us. If you enjoyed that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate that. We are working to get you more interviews like that. If you have any feedback, good or bad, I can take it. Email us, PreMarket@Benzinga.com. If you think I asked bad questions, that's fine. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you think I asked great questions, tell me that too. It's good to get feedback. So we appreciate Mark. We appreciate our other guest today, Nic Chahine. Thanks to all of you in our chats. As far as tomorrow's show, we've got Michael Sonnenschein. He is with GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And we've also got the CEO of Hyliion, Thomas Healy. And then after him, I swear, we're done with the electric vehicle thing for now, or the renewable energy thing for now. Because this
How
is
about the timing with Mr. Sonnenschein coming on here with the move in Bitcoin?
Yep. Gonna be
Pat myself on the back there for that one.
Michael Sonnenschein tomorrow at 8:35. Thomas Healy from Hyliion tomorrow at 9. Like I said, for any feedback, email us, PreMarket@Benzinga.com. Thanks to our guests, thanks to our chatters. Please remember that all the information from our broadcast is meant to be used as informational purposes and not for investing or trading advice. Joel and I will be back at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time just to wrap up the day. In the meantime, everyone have a great rest of your day, and wherever you are, stay safe.